WCBI News at 6 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. A fire at a Chickasaw County manufacturer kept firefighters busy last night and into today.
But the way they and company employees responded to this fire is a little bit different. WCBI's Stephanie Poole has more.
Dark clouds of smoke hang over Chickasaw County over 12 hours after a fire begins at a fertilizer plant. Wednesday night, a storage facility at Houston's Nutrient AG Solution plant caught fire. But this is one fire that won't be put out by local firefighters.
Our company protocol, which is followed to the letter, states when a fertilizer facility catches on fire, we let it burn. If we put water on it, then we run risk of runoff.
Location manager Bart Breville says they have a mandatory training with the fire department about the facility's safety procedures.
Well, they are trained in that. They know that. They didn't have to call us and ask us whether to put water on this fire or not. They knew when they got here not to put water on this fire because of previous training that we do with them every year. But if they would have put water on this, it would have magnified the situation and really given us a problem that we had to deal with and everybody else.
Once the material burns itself out, there will be some major cleanup to do. Workers will have to build a 3-foot berm around the perimeter to contain any runoff. We
can't say enough to say thank you to our first responders who were here right away, helped contain the fire, make sure everyone was safe. We're going to work through our state ag department to try to figure out how we go forward and clean up what's left. So we will follow those protocols to the T and make sure everything's done right.
After that work is done, company officials will decide whether or not to rebuild. Reporting in Chickasaw County, Stephanie Poole, WCBI News.
And no injuries have been reported. The cause of that fire still under investigation.
A woman is injured in an afternoon crash in Lowndes County. A gray Kia was driving south on Highway 45 when it hit a utility pole. The victim was checked out by emergency crews, but it's unclear if she actually was taken to the hospital. The accident is being investigated by the Mississippi Highway Patrol.
Expanding security, that's behind an ongoing project in Starkville that has the city government, police, and local businesses joining forces.
It's being called the Municipal Camera Project. The department and city are building on an existing surveillance camera system. Our Jory Talley joins us in the studio with more.
The security cameras were previously a police department project that was grant funded. Now the city is helping the department expand that. The Board of Aldermen approved the new project and is already in phase 1.
You've probably seen them around Starkville. You can spot them by their red and blue flashing lights. And soon, more security cameras will be monitoring the city.
We're leasing them and we're going to start with 10. And then hopefully, depending on the cost and things, we're going to wrap up to more. And we're letting, this is not something, the Board of Aldermen is not sitting there going, well, I want one here and one there. This is based on interaction between the police and the IT department and where it makes sense for us.
And the places that make the most sense are the ones that attract the most people.
They're not going to be constantly monitored in the sense that we're not going to be having someone sitting there looking at them, but they're going to be available to us. We're going to have someone that they will live feed to if it's necessary. And we're going to be concentrating in the areas that we have a lot of activity. We have a lot of events and we want to keep having events and we want everybody to feel safe and comfortable.
Cameras are already watching areas like downtown, entertainment districts, and the main university corridor. More are coming to the Cotton District, the Sportsplex, and a few other areas. Police are hoping that the extra eyes will make potential criminals think twice.
One of the big things about that is we hope it'll deter crime if you see them in these areas. Another thing that these cameras have helped us with in the past have been post-incident. It's helped us resolve both misdemeanor and felony cases.
And while the cameras are always watching, not just anybody can watch them.
Shift CSIs being one of them, so they can go, say, at 3 o'clock in the morning, an incident happens, a hit and run, anything you can name, period, from the most basic thing to the most serious thing, and they can go pull up and review the cameras and see what extra evidence that can provide, whether it be something as simple as a clothing or vehicle description or much more information.
Lovelady and Mayor Sproul say there are more plans in the future for the security system. Over time, the goal is to also cover busy intersections. There's a map on the city's website showing where the cameras are, and as they're added, the map will be updated.
All right, thanks a lot, Jory. Time now to turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. He joins us with a first look at our forecast.
Joey, we were 80 degrees in Columbus, right now 64, a new record high today in Tupelo of 80 degrees too, but now we have the wind switching around, the cold front that is moving on through. With the front, a little band of showers now, a pretty good downpour over Macon. This is shifting into West Alabama. That's with the front. Behind it, there's a secondary wave of rain that, for the most part, probably won't affect all of us, but still some rain out there, especially across our northwestern areas. Temperatures will continue to fall. By the time you wake up in the morning, low 30s or upper 20s, wind chills down into the teens and 20s tomorrow morning. Highs on Friday only in the 40s, low to mid 40s. Your full forecast coming up.
Well, flu season is here and schools are feeling the effects. The Lamar County School District will be closed tomorrow after reports of students getting sick across the county. As of Tuesday, about 12% of the school district students were absent. In Tupelo, TCPS is also closing due to the number of people who have been out sick with the flu.
A Golden Triangle city is giving back to veterans at Mississippi State. West Point representatives presented over $3,000 to the GV Sonny Montgomery Center for America's Veterans. The money was raised at the town's Veterans Day parade in November. The money goes to student veterans to help support them while they're in school.
Veterans are, that's the reason we're here. The veterans are the lifeblood of our country. Without them, where would we be? Everybody should give back to the veterans.
We use this money for various things. So it can either be scholarships, either to help pay tuition, hardship scholarships. We do a lot of programs and services for our student veterans here. So we can use this money very easily.
Give me 1 second.
Last month, MSU was named a top 10 military-friendly school.
All right.
As we begin our look at Black History Month, we go to one of the institutions at the heart of the community.
We take you to church when we come back.
Welcome back, everyone. 56 years ago, a young black preacher stood in the pulpit and told his congregation, "We are made by history." It is a history celebrated this month that's rich and full, tragic and triumphant, filled with heartbreak and healing.
We begin our Black History Month series tonight with the cornerstone of that history, the church. Our Quentin Smith sat down with local pastors about the role of the church. He joins us live in the studio with more. Quentin.
Joey, from one generation to the next, the church has always remained a source of spiritual renewal as well as a place of praise and worship. It's a place for creating individual and systematic changes within the black community. Now, although a lot has changed in the African American community throughout the years, however, the church is one place that's always remained constant.
It's a place to find peace and empowerment. From small rural bodies of believers to mega congregations, for African Americans, church continues to be the rock of the community. However, its emergence didn't happen overnight. In fact, it goes back in time, way back to when black men and women were slaves.
The slave owners did allow them to go to church. The thing, we had the kind of songs like the whites didn't understand, which delivered us. Like over my head, I hear music in the air, there must be a God somewhere. They didn't know those were songs of delivery.
We were not allowed in worship spaces by other people of other races. And so look at what God did for us. God allowed us to create our own worship spaces, our own style of worship.
We are confident of this one thing. Reverend Tony Montgomery is the pastor at Missionary Union Baptist Church, which is also the oldest organized church in Columbus. He says the church house is a place where many people come to strengthen their faith and also learn about the teachings of the Bible.
Hope. Hope is here.
People go through so much frustration. Take, for instance, the frustration that the shutdown caused. People flooded the church to get encouragement. How am I going to make it? How am I going to make it through the struggle? They can't make it on their own. And so the church gives them encouragement. It builds their faith, and it creates a sense of importance.
Dr. James Boyd has been pastoring for more than 50 years. He's seen firsthand the role the church plays when it comes to uplifting and bringing the African American community together.
Nobody knows the black community like the black pastor. It's a relationship.
If a movement is going to start, it has been in the church. The church has been the power base for our community. If there needs to be something done, no matter whether that's educational, because most of our churches were also our schools back in the day.
The Black church was also instrumental during the Civil Rights Movement. It's a place where a number of activists, such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Jesse Jackson, would deliver speeches addressing the issues going on throughout the community and discuss ways to prevail and overcome those circumstances.
The church begins for us to gather as a people, wounded, enslaved, but becomes a place where we start to organize and work towards our freedom.
Over the years, the church has and will continue to evolve. However, through it all, Pastor Boyd and Montgomery both believe that the church will always remain a staple and safe haven for African Americans.
I just think that it's still the best thing going.
The church is built upon the Bible. Upon this rock, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not demolish the church. And that's what we believe in, and that's what we build on. I don't think the church will ever go out of existence.
Now, we'll be celebrating Black History Month all throughout February. Next week, we'll highlight the highs and lows of serving as an African American in the military.
Caught the incoming cold front this afternoon with our Louisville, Mississippi sky cam right there. A little bit of rain. The wind has shifted. Temperatures are falling. Your full forecast is next.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
As you are aware, it was a very warm day. 80 in Tupelo today. The old record 76, and we broke that, not just in Tupelo, but in a good majority of the region here. Look at all these numbers from Montgomery to New Orleans to Greenwood, upper 70s, low 80s, even Huntsville too. So extremely warm. I hope you enjoyed it though, because we do have some cold air coming in right now. The winds have turned, and they will stay from the northwest all night long. We have some showers now. Those showers taper this evening. Low 30s by the morning commute. Wind chills down into the 20s and teens for the morning commute. So we'll get the precip out of here, but the wind and that wind chill will just cut you like a knife tomorrow morning when you get ready for work and for school. Not like today, not like yesterday, just like winter. That will be our Friday. A mix of clouds and sun, so overall a decent day for us, but highs will only be in the low to mid 40s, it would appear at this time as we get into the last day of the work week. So city by city, 42 Pontotoc, 43 Houston, maybe 44 in Tupelo farther south. Again, low to mid 40s out there, winds from the northwest 10 to 15. A mix of clouds and sun, mostly cloudy at times, partly sunny at times, but we'll see fair weather regardless, it would appear. Temperatures now are much, much colder back to the northwest. Only 24 in Oklahoma City, 33 in Little Rock, but off to our east where we have been all day long, still in the 70s in Alabama and Georgia. The winds still up there, but not as gusty as what they were. We were gusting over 30 miles per hour today. You can see one little ribbon of rain. That's what's been moving through. A little bit of shower activity back to the northwest. That still can pivot on through here later tonight. The clouds will thin out later tonight. The rain goes away this evening, so dry for our Friday. It's looking decent, just cooler. Now, can't rule out a little bit of light sleet pellet action here early Saturday morning around the wee hours of the night, daybreak or so. That will go away, so that's a wild card type situation for us. No impacts really expected at this point, but can't rule it out. Heavier rain possible late Sunday into our Monday and Tuesday with the next little wave that will move on through here. So that is where we're headed. Let's check it out with your AccuWeather 7-day forecast. We're looking at 44 tomorrow, below freezing tomorrow night, 48 on Saturday, 56 Sunday, some heavier rain but warmer 60s Monday and Tuesday.
Some Calhoun County residents need to take extra precautions. The Slate Springs Water Association has issued a boil water notice there for all customers. We, of course, will keep you updated on this situation. All right, the Bulldogs lose an OT heartbreaker to LSU, but we dive deeper into the numbers of the tough loss. More from Coach Howland and the Dogs next in sports.
WCBI Sports with Tom Ebel is brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Go further.
The shot that put a dagger in the Bulldogs' heart last night against LSU. Naz Reid's triple in overtime put it out of reach, and MSU drops a critical game in the SEC. The loss especially stings because Mississippi State led by as much as 9 in the first half and 10 in the second half, only for the Tigers to keep bouncing back. Ben Howland admitted in the postgame that he did a poor job of managing the minutes of Tyson Carter and Robert Woodard, both a huge part of the first half run that put Mississippi State up 9, scoring 20 of Mississippi State's 42 first half points. Howland said postgame that the decision came down to matchups.
What the problem was is it was hard to take Q out because he was the one guy that really had it going offensively. And I still should have gave him a little blow. But when we were playing Robert at the 4, it was hard at times because they were so big. And, in other words, they were with 6'11" and 6'10". And he's been playing a lot there for us as a stretch four, meaning guarding guys that are more perimeter-oriented than inside guys like Bigby Williams and Reed tonight. When he was in there in the beginning of the second half, he was matched up on 22 days there for a few minutes.
Robert Woodard, if we're using NBA analytics, evaluating a plus-minus in terms of a player's impact when they're on the floor, Mississippi State was plus 24 in the first half with Woodard on the floor, minus 14 with him off. Go check the numbers. I welcome you to see if I'm right. Bulldogs will have to forget the tough loss with number 5 Kentucky heading to town on Saturday. The road to Nashville first begins in Indianapolis. The NFL Scouting Combine kicks off at the end of this month, where players will show off their skill sets in front of NFL scouts. 17 Bulldogs and Rebels combined invited to prove why they should be pros. Taking a look at Mississippi State, projected first-round pick Jonathan Abram, Deion Calhoun, Nick Fitzgerald, and Gary Green all invited to the Combine, along with offensive lineman Elton Jenkins, safety Mark McLaurin, cornerback Jamal Peters, and another projected first-round pick Montez Sweat. Of course, as reported, Jeffrey Simmons will not be invited to the Combine because of his past history involving violence, but Jeffrey's film and pro day should make up for that. For Ole Miss, A.J. Brown, D.K. Metcalf, DeMarcus Lodge, all of the NWO invited. Greg Little, another projected first-round pick for the Rebels, he's invited. Jordan Ta'amu, Javon Patterson, Dawson Knox, Ken Webster, and Zedrick Woods are the Rebels invited. So that's 9 Ole Miss, 8 Mississippi State. 8 days away from the opening day of college baseball season, the SEC head coaches deciding who they believe will be at the top and the bottom of the SEC. Looking at the West, LSU at 1, Ole Miss at 2, Arkansas at 3, Mississippi State chosen 6th to finish in the West. It's a competitive division. We'll see what happens here in a couple months. And then in the East, Vanderbilt at 1, but Vanderbilt was chosen to win the SEC overall. Some first-team guys, Cole Sabowski, Jake Mangum, were named for the Bulldogs and Rebels as well. That's it for sports. We'll have a last few forecasts coming up next.
Weren't those 70s and 80s nice earlier?
They were.
There's a short-lived treat. We're back in the winter now. The cold front's moving on through, some rain out there this evening. Wind chills 20s and teens for the morning commute. Highs only in the 40s tomorrow. Get ready for a little blast of winter, but we'll moderate things. So,
as we should be, though, in February, right?
Right. Today, we were more like early April.
Yeah.
The 70s spoiled us.
April Fools.
Right.
February Fools.
Thanks for joining us.